Hey everybody, welcome to another video review. So this is one of the last lightsaber reviews I'm going to be doing. In terms of the solo reviews, I'll be doing some comparisons later on. But this is the Dark Ray lightsaber from Star Wars Episode 9, The Rise of Skywalker. And it's from EFX. So a couple of things to go over with this one. First of all, as with all EFX hilts, this one does not come with a acrylic display case. And so this one was custom built by a gentleman in Southern California. His Facebook business page is called Saber Display Solutions. He does excellent work, and he's actually reasonably fast about it. And you know, he has measurements already kind of pre-done for this. It's a little tricky. The fit isn't perfect, but it's hard to make it perfect because obviously the last thing that you want is a display case like this that doesn't fit, right? And so you have to kind of measure the lip pretty tightly, and then he adds like a little tiny bit, and sometimes he just adds a little bit more. So all of the cases that he's made for me have never erred on the side of being too small. They tend to be just a little bit too large, but again, I can't complain too much because, you know, obviously you don't want to make a mistake the other way. So this is a really, really beautiful acrylic display case, custom made, and it's just huge. Like, I'm going to just sort of move my camera back a little bit, and just bear in mind that, you know, this is, look at how big this is. It's not only very, very wide, but it's very tall because the lightsaber, you know, displayed like this is folded in half, so there's height to it. So you have to add a little bit of height in order to make it look good. And then, you know, it has that depth as well. So I'm resting my tripod here just to, you know, kind of try to get all of this in frame without too much success, you know, but there you go. I just wanted to kind of showcase this. Okay, so that's number one. You have to get a custom display case because it doesn't come with one, which is sort of a pain. And for the Dark Ray lightsaber, this is no insignificant task because this is a massive hilt. Whether you want to display it lengthwise, like the Darth Maul, or whether you display it folded like this, you know, it's going to be really big. And the case that they, the base that they designed for it is also, you know, quite large as well, in order to accommodate. And so crafting the acrylic display case and having it shipped to you, if you don't have somebody local like myself, is going to be a bit of a challenge. It's, you know, the bottom line is it's going to be difficult. Now that with that out of the way, we can take a look at this, the actual lightsaber itself. You can see it's Dark Side Ray lightsaber, limited edition by EFX, Star Wars. Interestingly, they don't actually give you the name of the movie. They don't say Episode 9, The Rise of Skywalker, which I think they should have. But we'll look at it in a little bit more detail later. This is serial number 81 out of a total edition size of 500. A little bit of background on this lightsaber. First of all, in terms of its role in the movie, this was wielded by a vision of Dark Ray. You know, when Ray herself went to the remains of the shattered Death Star, and as she found this, you know, dark side, you know, holocron or whatever you want to call it, and in the place where she found it, she was confronted by a vision of herself if she had fallen to the dark side. It's only a few seconds, in less than a minute. You can actually search for the scene on YouTube, but you know, she was wielding a double-sided red lightsaber, much like Maul, except in this case, you know, it actually hinged and opened up. So that's the context of the scene. It's not really even real. Obviously, Rey did not become Darkseid and it was just a vision. I always kind of felt that it was a little bit interesting that EFX decided to, I guess, make this as kind of their first sequel trilogy lightsaber. I found that an interesting choice, but there you have it. And the pre-orders for this went up, if you can believe it, I think as long as 4 years ago, I want to say. At the time, I wasn't collecting lightsabers. I only began doing this about a year ago. But for those of you, if you think about it, 4 years is a staggering amount of time, especially for like a licensed company to take people's deposits and then not deliver any product. Again, I won't belabor the point too much. This is not a video about EFX's, well-documented issues. But suffice to say that, this year, this lightsaber was finally produced, in China and then shipped. And in that interim, the edition size fell from 750 limited edition to only 500. And even with the smaller limitation, some months after this lightsaber was delivered, meaning that, production is done, factory, finished, has finished, it's shipped, it's like in stock, ready to ship. And not only in stock from EFX's website, but also from their distributors, such as Sideshow Collectibles. This lightsaber is still available. It's still not sold out, despite the small number. And again, despite everything, it's still not sold out. By the way, before continuing, I'd just like to make a comment that I'm recording this in 1080p. At 60 frames a second and not 4K. The 4K just created file sizes that were prohibitively difficult and took a long time to load. I mean, just too large, for the power of the, in my opinion, of the phones I have. So I'm going back to 1080p. I don't think that we lose too much detail or clarity with that. Maybe when I do statues, I'll go back to 4K. So in any case, this is 1080p for those of you who are wondering, and hopefully you won't see too much of a dip in quality. So as I am rotating this lightsaber, so you can see it from all different angles, and its display case, I guess the obvious question that should be asked is why, is it so difficult to sell out? Because if you look at equivalent edition sizes, I mean, you have an edition size of 500, typically that's going to mean that, it's going to probably maintain value. It's going to be very sought after, et cetera, et cetera. This was certainly the case with some of the older EFX releases, and certainly the case with the Master Replicas releases. Well, I have, I think, a couple of reasons for why it's struggling to sell. Before getting into that, I think we've had enough fun with the acrylic, so you can see how big this is. We're going to put it aside. And then we're going to put our black backdrop, like so. So you can see it much nicer, much more clearly. Hopefully it won't hit the back. It is hitting it a little bit, but we're okay. So against the black backdrop, you're going to be able to see the colors much nicer as I slowly move this around. So let's discuss why this is not being sold out. First of all, I just want to let you know that the actual product itself is, in my opinion, spectacular. I think that the base is very beautiful. So is the nameplate, very classy. It's limited, and the lightsaber, of course, itself, the most important thing, is just beautiful. It's gorgeous. Weathered very nicely. It's made out of extremely heavy, durable parts. The parts that are metal, that are supposed to be metal, are metal. You have kind of hard plastic over here. And it has a hinge mechanism. It's got magnets. It feels incredibly heavy and sturdy. So they definitely did not skimp on quality. It feels like like a very, very sturdy, high quality prop. So absolutely no complaints when it comes to the actual prop, from the base to the plaque to the actual hilt itself. It's grade A+. Okay. So let's just start off with the company itself. So EFX, had essentially ruined their own reputation by taking pre-orders and just simply not delivering product. I think it sadly took the passing of one of their, CEOs or whatnot, Brian Ono, and then for someone else to come along, take up the mantle of leadership, try to right the ship. It was just absolutely terrible. And their reputation has really been, in my opinion, stained. And so because of this, I think there was a lot of confusion and a lot of doubt when this hilt finally began to ship. There's a pretty significant number of Star Wars collectors who, having been burned by EFX on other products, just simply refused to buy anything from EFX under any circumstances. There were also those of us who had heard the rumors and was extremely hesitant to buy it at all. And in point of fact, I think I only pre-ordered it the month it actually shipped from the factories in China. So I think number one, EFX's own reputation significantly hurt it when it came to something like this, especially when this was a product that they had pre-ordered 4 years ago and had taken deposits from people. So this product itself, because it was one of those that had, gone up for pre-order during EFX's really bad days, was stained, and people were very hesitant about buying this. So that's number one. Number two, of course, is that this was based on a very, very niche. Is it niche or yeah? It's very niche. That's what I think that's the way you pronounce it. Niche scene in the Rise of Skywalker. It's just a vision. It only appeared for seconds during the entire movie, and so it kind of feels like almost a little bit like a bait and switch, where they showed this during the trailer, but it meant nothing. Actually, a little tiny what could have been or what if, or just a dark vision similar to Luke's face, in Vader's helmet back in Empire Strikes Back, in the dark side cave in Dagobah. And so because of the context of that, a lot of people just didn't feel very attached. Number one, the movie The Rise of Skywalker is roundly criticized as being one of the worst in the entire Star Wars saga. Again, this is not a review of The Rise of Skywalker. It's just that this is, it was just not a good movie, for multiple reasons. And so the movie was weak. The character of Rey is not especially popular, and now you give us a dark side version, even less popular. And so I think because of the movie and the context of the scene, this is not considered a very highly desirable or iconic, a lightsaber by any stretch of the imagination. And you can imagine that only lightsaber enthusiasts or completists like myself would even be tempted by something like this, no matter the quality. So there's that. And then finally, of course, there's the price tag. This is $1,600, not including shipping and tax. When you put that in all in, you're starting to approach $2,000 for something like this. I mean, $2,000 is something that would take you into the neighborhood of, let's just say, an Obi-Wan Kenobi weathered, from Master Replicas. It would take you into the neighborhood of certain, like Anakin Skywalker from Revenge of the Sith. I mean, you're looking at very, very high quality, highly sought after Masters Replicas lightsabers at that price point. And with a little bit of luck, you could even get signature editions at that price point. And so it was just simply put way too expensive for, again, the context of the source material that this is coming from. This is simply not iconic. Would you be able to sell a Luke Skywalker type lightsaber for $2,000? I mean, if it's from Master Replicas, if it's signature, sure. But even that would be a little bit tricky. But for a dark side Rey, it's just simply not feasible. And so I think those are the main reasons why this particular hilt is still available. Now, having said that, a lot of these, hilts have, storied histories. Not every one of Master Replica's releases were sold out. I mean, on the contrary, a lot of them were available for years. That's why a lot of sets got broken up. People were selling them for parts. They were selling them for their display cases. But with the passage of time, as there became less and less of them, the prices began to rise higher, until now it's basically astronomical for almost any one of them. And so eventually, at only a limitation of 500, this piece is going to eventually sell out. And when it does, I think that its value will still hold and may even increase. And it all kind of depends on how Rey the character does. Disney hasn't given up on her yet. I really like Daisy Ridley as an actress. She's has a very beautiful, clean look. She acts with conviction, and I think with a better story and better dialogue and better writing, she could prove to be a very, very good addition to actually the Star Wars canon, and a lot better than what she is now. So a new movie is going to be coming out in a couple of years, depending on how that's incorporated and what happens. I think this lightsaber can be still very, very good, very valuable. If you have the disposable income to drop near 2,000 or something like this, I think eventually it could prove to be a worthwhile investment. All right, so much for that. Hopefully during that preamble, you've had plenty of opportunity to pause and just kind of look at the base, look at the display stand, look at the plaque, and look at the hilt in its natural resting position. I'm going to push it back just a little bit out of the way. And then let's take a look at the certificate of authenticity. So because this is literally the only EFX lightsaber that I bought brand new from EFX, it actually comes in this little bag, which is nice. We'll lay it aside. And then you can see that it even has the number 81 on the bag, and this little black cardboard is actually off of the envelope. That's how brand new it is. So EFX Collectibles. This is folded in like a lot of the certificates, just like Master Replicas in the later days, except again, instead of an envelope, it is an envelope, but instead of a rectangle, it's more of a square. So if we open all of that up, we're going to see the following paperwork. I'll take all of this out. So we have here the return policy, and they are in the limited warranty. That's fair enough. And then we have, of course, their registration card right over here. We also have the bag and the tissue paper that the plaque came in. Put that away. And then finally, we have the actual certificate of authenticity. So you can see that the paper here is actually pretty good stock paper. Still not as good as the signature edition paper from the Master Replicas line, but you have Star Wars Dark Side Rey lightsaber, limited edition. And then on the back, of course, the information for EFX Collectibles right here. Now, one of the things I do miss that when you compare this to the Master Replicas, certificates, of course, is that there's no gold embossing, which I felt was really, really classy. So there's none of that. Another thing to notice, of course, is there is no signature edition for this. It would have been lovely if they did. I mean, when you consider that lightsabers were, the $300 to $400 range in the limited edition, and that the signature editions were maybe $500, $500 range, for this lightsaber to be $1,600 and to not include Daisy Ridley's signature in an edition, it's just kind of hard to fathom. I know that things are different now versus 10 years ago. It just seems that licensed replicas with, actor signatures are, it just seems it's just not done. But yet they still do signatures. I mean, you know, SWAU, GalaxyCon, official picks, they have signatures all the time with movie stars from Michael Douglas to even Mark Hamill. Daisy Ridley has signed. So I guess there's just a huge difference in cost between having Daisy Ridley sign 1,000 autographs over a weekend or a night versus having her officially sign for a product. I don't know the business aspect of this, but it just seems that signature editions of props in modern 2023 almost don't exist. I mean, EFX did do a Blade Runner one with Harrison Ford's signature, and that was sold for $2,000. But that's Harrison Ford, you know, whose signature can run like up to $1,000. I mean, surely with Daisy Ridley, she's not charging $1,000. She's not $1,000 signature. You could, you know, have her for a couple hundred, and with again a release of this magnitude at $1,600 price tag, it just kind of is amazing that you didn't get a signature for this. But there you go, you know. So if you open it up, this is a picture of Dark Rey as she is seen in Rise of Skywalker. So this is kind of a nice, you know, nice reflective picture, and it shows her with the double blades before she swings it, and you know, it turns into a double-bladed lightsaber. So that's kind of cool. So you can see here that's how she's holding it, and then she'll flick it, and it becomes like a Darth Maul's double-bladed lightsaber. This is the movie poster from the Rise of Skywalker. You can see all of the characters, the Knights of Ren, Kylo, the Stormtroopers, you know, Rey herself, Poe, Finn, Rose, all of that. So that's pretty cool. And if we open it, this is again a triptych, so that's nice. And then you open it, it says Dark Side Rey Lightsaber Limited Edition. Little is known about this lightsaber other than that it was wielded against Rey by a dark side version of herself after she had held a Sith Wayfinder. So not a holocron, but a Wayfinder. This is honestly crazy. Like, this is literally like nothing. Like, it tells you nothing. I mean, granted, I can't blame it too much because the movie gives you nothing, but there's like no background, no behind the scenes, no little bit of interesting things to say. Like, it's just nothing. I mean, literally a little description of what that scene was about. So I find that a little bit disappointing. I mean, couldn't you have told us a little bit about the making of the prop? Is there any negative information that can make that interesting? A lot of the other signatures obviously talk about it. I mean, even from EFX themselves, they had all the information in the world about the Luke reveal or the Darth Maul legend, where they talked about how all of the, you know, the screen used props were largely resin with a little bit of metal ends for weight. How the ones that was used by Ray Park actually was smoothed over so it wouldn't hang on his hands, so his hands wouldn't get caught on the knobs. I mean, you know, there's stuff to talk about. And for this certificate and this product, they just had literally nothing to say. It seemed a little bit, again, half-assed, you know. And over here, of course, you can read at your leisure. This is the actual certificate. Again, it doesn't really mention Dark Rey at all. It's just a generic certificate, you know, talking about the fact that it's an original screen-used prop that was used to recreate it. And then, you know, highest quality materials assembled and finished by hand. It's got the EFX and Lucasfilm logos. There's no gold embossing anywhere here. There's no signature from any of the CEOs or the leaders of the companies. So again, I mean, I think the paper stock is decent, but as a certificate of authenticity, this was pretty disappointing, in my opinion. Even compared to the older EFX releases, this just seemed a little bit like, I don't know, like half-assed or something like that. Now, when it comes to the plaque, I'm going to take the plaque out like this. So let's take a look here. This is metal. So one of the interesting things is because this is a dark, dark side Rey lightsaber, they made the plaque actually, black. So it's white on black versus the opposite. The normal, the normal color is silver, right? So instead of having that, they have the white on black versus black on white. So you'll see Star Wars, and you see the serial number, number 81 out of 500. You see it's brushed black metal. You see the EFX logo, and then Dark Side Rey Lightsaber Limited Edition. So I do kind of like that touch, that they again changed it up a little bit. It absolutely sticks out when you compare it next to its EFX and Master Replica's neighbors. So, that's something nice that I appreciate. Let's slide that back into position. And another thing is that, the base, of course, is very much the normal base. You can see the Star Wars logo on the corner. But again, the base itself is a lot darker. It's black. And so because it's black, the Star Wars logo shows up way more clearly than against a brushed silver background. Again, this is brushed black metal. And they even have the little screws that screw this acrylic clear cover against the base. This is black instead of silver, even though it still has the EFX logo on it. So those are little tiny touches that I think add a little bit of character and make this particular lightsaber distinctive, as a dark side saber. Although then, you can argue a little bit that they don't have a lot of, what's the word? I mean, it's not really it's like unity, right? It's not consistent as much because, again, there's such a hodgepodge of different ideas. The only one you can, for instance, Ahsoka, they're all a little bit different. So Ahsoka is the sort of the director's, edition, and it has a silver gray plaque. And then you have the Luke reveal, which is not a director's edition. It's almost like just a regular type of release. But then you have the Dark Side Ray, which is the black metal and the black base. And then you have the Maul, which was a Legend edition on gold. And so all of this is different. You got, a silver director signature version. They have a regular Luke reveal, a silver. They have the black metal, then you have the gold metal. So again, it's a little bit of a hodgepodge. The lines are not very consistent. There's some consistencies, the base are all about the same. You got the Star Wars logo, you got the screws. So there's that, and then you always have the stand. It's kind of like this, but within that, it's not quite as consistent. You can see that this is extremely long, and now let's take a look at the hilt. So with this lightsaber, it's very unique in the sense. I'm going to just lift it up. It's very unique in the sense that they have the acrylic legs, and it's actually lined with a black felt. And so that's a little bit of a classy design. There's a little bit of, softness to it, and it protects the hilt from being scratched. It protects the stand from being scratched. So that's really nice to see. And again, the same thing in the back. You can screw it in a little bit tighter once you get into the perfect position. You can display it either with the lightsaber folded, or if it's open, you just put it on the lower run down here, and you can also present that. You can also display it as well. So I'm going to move this back. Let's take a look at the actual hilt. So we'll start with, with this thing folded up. So, Rey, for instance, would be holding it kind of like this, okay? And then what happens is if she suddenly snaps it, the thing will open and the hinges right here, and then it'll become, again, a double-bladed lightsaber like Darth Maul's. So I think the best thing to do is just start on one end. This is extremely heavy, so you can see that this is actually the hilt, and this is where they decided to put the information. I guess it's 2023 EFX ink. And then at the bottom, if we turn it around, you can see it's Lucasfilm. So all of the lightsabers will have an engraving, showing where this Master Replicas or EFX. So this is where they put theirs down here. So this part here obviously is a metal. I don't really know what this is. This is some sort of plastic, but the hinges, this is the actual hinge mechanism itself. And then if we look a little bit closer, you can see sort of the metal. From here on, all of this is metal, and you can see the weathering as well as the red bands. That's back, that's in between. And this is all, by the way, metal. I don't know whether it's machined or whether, it's painted, but you can kind of take a look at the quality as I zoom in. Let's just get a 2x magnification so you can see it a little bit better. So there you have it. You can see the little rust marks. So the weathering on this is actually pretty fantastic. You can see the detail of the little screws and nuts. I'm just going to show you this. And then this kind of reminds me of bullets, you know, on a bandolier in the Old West. So take a look at that. Take a look at all of the screws and the detail here. And then moving along, you can see the neck. Again, the Allen wrench screws all the way to the double emitters. Here's the rainbow effect. This is supposed to simulate the damage from the intense heat of the lightsaber. I don't know if I'm a huge fan of that. It's nice enough, I suppose. I feel like the rainbow color is a little bit in your face here, but you know, there you go. And then you can see here, there's a lot of really, really nice detail with the inside of the emitters all the way in. Like sometimes some of the older replicas, you know, the emitter is just basically a flat sheet of metal. Where you go in there, there's really nothing to see. So I'm kind of happy that they put a little bit of detail all the way down there as well. So there you have it, both sides. So essentially, you know, both sides of this, you know, both halves of this hilt are identical, as you would expect. I'm going to flip it around now. So I'll take a look at the ends here. And then you can see the other side. Not too much to see. Again, it's the same type of weathering. Here goes the bandolier, you know, heat sink, so to speak. And then the neck all the way up again to the emitter. This little area here is kind of reminiscent of the Episode 3 Star Wars Darth Vader lightsaber. This is the shroud for that one. So it's a little bit reminiscent of that. So it's kind of nice that they actually, you know, incorporated some of those designs as well. And again, here again is the logo on both sides. Try to focus it. When I go double magnification, it maintains focus. If I just go regular magnification and try to bring it super close to the camera, it just doesn't want to play ball. Again, this is the iPhone 15 camera, which is supposed to be superior in almost every way, but I'm still trying to learn how to best use it. You can see the different types of screws on the side, and then kind of the Allen wrench, or hexagonal. Yeah, this is a hexagonal Allen wrench at the bottom here. Okay, so I'm going to go back to regular magnification. So what you do is, if you can see here, this is actually where the magnet is. And so if you want to open it up, you just have to stick your finger in there. As you can see, it comes together with a satisfying, you know, huge like ring, because it's a rare earth magnet. So it definitely opens. It definitely, again, you know, is very much a heavy magnet. So here's the hinge, and it locks right here. Okay, here you go. So it snaps into place, and then this is the button that you use to release it, to fold it back again. And so actually, if you were to grasp it like here and just jerk it, it will swing and hit just like that. Of course, I'm not using this as a toy, and so I'm not inclined to try to do that very often. So now that we get a chance to see this thing, I'm trying to, you know, move it all around. You can see how long this is. It won't even go all the way into the frame, but we'll put it on the acrylic legs. We have after we've had a chance to look at this in all its glory. So again, you've seen the emitter. So this is kind of what it looks like, and then you can sort of just take a look all around as we go closer in. And then here, of course, is the middle, and then it repeats on the other side. Again, it's a mirror image, so identical in every respect. Just turn it all over so you can see all of the detail. I'm going to go to 2x magnification now. So you have an opportunity to see what it looks like. This is all machine metal, extremely heavy. Again, you can see the paint application to give it the illusion of white hot heat warping the metal a little bit. It's pretty sharp on either side here. And then here's one of the magnets. You can see that over time, if you keep hitting it, there'll be some scratches here. That's inevitable. Here's some of the screws. Look at the heavy weathering here. Some of the weathering, you know, can look really fake. Like, I mean, I think that the Luke, Master Replica's Luke V2 Signature Edition is, of course, an iconic prop, an iconic product released by Master Replicas. After all, it features Luke Skywalker's signature. But the weathering effect on that V2, it just looks terrible in my opinion. And I guess maybe that's, you know, the way it looked like with the actual prop, but it just looks clumsy, you know, like unnatural, the weathering. The weathering for the Obi-Wan from A New Hope for Master Replicas is infinitely, you know, superior, and I think that this weathering is similarly very, very good. It really does look like rust and oil and scratches and wear in a very kind of organic fashion. It doesn't look like it's painted on or manufactured. So kudos to them for that. I hope that with my 2x magnification that you can actually see all the weathering that's gone into it, as well as the details, all the little greebies or greebles you want to call it, that's added to give it, you know, life. And then here you go. This is sort of like, again, it looks like bullets, you know, like a belt of bullets. I don't know if this is metal. I know this is metal. I don't know if this is metal per se. But here again, more weathering, and you can see the plates against the red metal background. Just want to kind of turn it around so you can see it, you know, all the way around. Same thing here. So just beautiful weathering job in general. This is the hinge area. And here's the button you press so that you can unlock it and fold it again. And then on this side, we have more of the same, again, symmetrical. Same thing here. And finally, you can see the magnet on the other side. And if you want to display it, get this in the center here. So if you want to display it opened, you would then rest it like so at the bottom. And then we're going to go back to 1 magnification, and we're going to just back up. I'm holding it now so you can now get an idea of how long this hilt is. Fully opened, it's actually longer. It's actually quite a bit longer than the Darth Maul version. So you can imagine how difficult it would be if you were to actually make the base a mirror base and then create another acrylic case to accommodate that. In my opinion, it would be almost impossible. And so I think the vast majority of people are going to be displaying this lightsaber folded up. And of course, that's what's encouraged. I mean, they give you this, you know, acrylic leg double layer for a reason. So how do you fold it up? It's simple enough. You press the button, and if you press it like this, it will release, and then you'll be able to slowly bring it together, and you'll hear the satisfying click. It's actually impossible to get this together without that clang because the magnets are so strong. it'll just immediately do it. And then I actually forget exactly how to line this up. I think it's something like so. But I get the feeling that I might have gotten this wrong a little bit. Maybe we should turn it the other way and do it like so. There you go. But then we have to move it a little bit off center in order for it to look a little bit good. Just like so. And then let's take the display off. And then you can see that the acrylic fits right over the lip. And there you have it. We have the dark side Rey lightsaber back in its display case. So there you have it. I hope you enjoyed that and got a chance to take a look at this amazing prop replica. There's only 2 reviews on YouTube that I could find. One is by Star Wars Replicas, who, he has a lot of really, really cool things. I'm not surprised that he got this one. And then there's another YouTube reviewer out there. So this will only be the 3rd. I think the other one is like Hyperdrive Star Wars Collectibles or something like that. So those are the only 2 of the EFX licensed static props. There are others out there that are unlicensed, or they're more functional with the blades and all that stuff. But this is the real deal, the highest quality, version of this that exists. And again, hopefully able to show you some of the finer details all around. I think the thing that really stands out to me about this lightsaber is the weight, and then the finish and the very natural weathering. It's so natural that I don't really, I'm not able to see it as a painted weathering job. Like the effect is very natural. It really does feel like it was almost, naturally weathered, that they didn't even have to fake it. The splotches and the stains are so real. The rust and the oil and the grime seem very, very, legitimate, very, very real. So that kind of the weight, the quality of the weathering, the metal, the machine metal parts, and also kind of like the thoughtfulness of how this was engineered. It, really, like the way the magnets come together with a satisfying clang. It's a rare earth magnet. You can feel the power of the attraction of the force. The hinge mechanism, where you're able to actually, it's sturdy enough that you're actually able to grab it and then jerk it. And then, it just basically snaps into position. That's pretty impressive. It doesn't feel like shoddy material. It doesn't feel like shortcuts were taken. They really went the extra mile to, I guess, make this somewhat justify the high price tag. In terms of the idea behind it, how do I feel about a hinged lightsaber? Sometimes you do wonder if they're just coming up with these silly variations because they really don't know what else to do to make a lightsaber interesting. Everything that could possibly be done has already been done. But because you have the double-sided, right? The double lightsaber blade that was first introduced with Maul in Phantom Menace, and then you have, of course, Kylo Ren's weird, cross guard where the blade is also going on the sides. You got Rey with her staff that then she incorporated her final design at the end of The Rise of Skywalker. So it's almost like you get the feeling they just run out of ideas. They're just kind of throwing everything at the wall and seeing what sticks. But I kind of disagree in the sense that I kind of like the hinge idea, because when I was reviewing the Darth Maul lightsaber, that thing is so long. And then, of course, you accentuated the issue because you put a cover tech on one end of it. And so the cover tech, wheel implies that that's where you basically put it on the belt clip. And just the idea of that's ridiculous. Like if Maul really was going to do that, that lightsaber hilt would be literally hanging almost to his leg when he's walking around. It just seems, laughably impractical. So I like the idea of the fact that, if you want to have a double-sided lightsaber, this is the way you would carry it. It has to be hinged. And then when you're ready to use it, you simply snap it into position so that the two, so that now you have kind of the long version where you can grab it with both hands. So I quite enjoyed the, the hinge portion. And if you don't unleash it and you don't unhinge it, then you have essentially a double lightsaber blade. And that could give you, maybe extra power or extra, striking ability. So in general, I kind of find the design of this, quite ingenious. And I wish that we had been able to see it in action for more than a few seconds when Darkseid Rey and regular Rey exchanged a few strokes before she was knocked back out of that room, So those are my sort of, final thoughts on this hilt. This is, I think this would have been the last YouTube video I made dedicated. This is number 29 of all the lightsabers released. The Ahsoka Tano dual lightsabers from EFX is not going to come out for another month or so to be shipped. But I think I might actually have to make one more dedicated YouTube video. I have to redo my Master Replicas Episode 3 Darth Vader hilt. That one was actually the very first review I made of one of these lightsabers, and that was done over 4 years ago. Ironically, it was done, I think, the same year that this came up for pre-order, if you can believe that. But it's also one of my worst, because at the time, I hadn't really got into a good, effective rhythm or way of doing it. I didn't really give that saber the love and the attention it deserves, and so I'm going to probably re-review that. And then after that, I'll probably take a little bit of a hiatus, and then I'll start reviewing like different groupings of lightsabers. I'll do the Yoda, Attack of the Clones, and Revenge of the Sith. I'll do all of the Obi-Wan Kenobi lightsabers. I can take a look at Anakin episode 2 and 3, for instance. So there's some fun things that I can still do reviews of. That's hard to do for anyone else who doesn't own all of them, right? Because I happen to be, fortunate enough or crazy enough to own all of them, I'm going to be able to show you groupings that other people will not be able to, because they don't own all of them. So I like to do that. And then finally, I like to show the 3 mantelpieces, each one above a fireplace, where I've stacked all 29. I'll do a separate video showing that, and then during that video, I'll start ranking what I believe are all 29 of the hilts, and I'll give you my rankings, right, from 1 through 29. So that's sort of a little preview of what's to come. But I think when you look at the whole thing, the black display plaque, the black screws, the base, and then the custom acrylic case, and this really, really beautiful, well-made production version of the lightsaber. I think it's a fantastic piece, and eventually, when it does sell out, and it will, I think it will go quite high on the secondary market, especially if Rey as a character begins to take off again. And this is like a very unique version, right? It's a dark side Rey lightsaber. I do wish they had made a signature edition, and now I just have to, because they didn't, I have to try to wait around and see, hopefully if Daisy Ridley ever does another signing, and I have already a custom signature plaque set aside to take advantage of it. In reality, I should try to get one that's actually like a black metal to match this, but I don't think that actually they make them, unfortunately. So it'll just be like a regular signature edition plaque if I'm ever so fortunate as to get Daisy Ridley's signature. But that, is probably something for the far distant future. So there you go. This is not quite the end. It was going to be the end, but I think I'm going to go do one more. But thank you for your attention. I hope that you enjoyed this review of the EFX Darkseid Rey lightsaber and the custom acrylic case. by Saber Display Solutions. And until next time, do take care.